All right, so we're going to get started. We are going to start with the dessert first. So I'm just going to run through the order we're going to do everything in. I'll remind you as we go along, all right? We're going to make the base for the dessert first. Then we're going to prep the mushrooms ready to go to the point of ready to go into the oven. Then we're going to toast the crostini bread and prep the rest of the ingredients for that. We're not going to finish it. Then we're going to prep all the risotto ingredients next. And we're going to preheat our oven at that point, and we're going to make the salad, put the mushrooms in the oven, finish the crostini, and cook the risotto. Okay, so just so you know, and I'll cue you as we go along as to what we're going to do. So first off is the dessert, all right, which you should have almonds. If you weren't sure how many 4 ounces of almonds were, it's about 1.5 cups. All right. Now, I am assuming everybody has a food processor or blender, because you really need one or the other to do this. All right. Before we actually make that, though, we are going to butter the cake pan we're going to use. Parchment or wax paper, doesn't really matter. If you don't have either, you just want to butter your pan very heavily and maybe put a little bit of flour in there so that the cake doesn't stick. Okay. I have an 8-inch, 8 or 9 inches fine, either is fine. Okay. And take your piece of, if you're doing wax paper, you want a piece about this size, same with parchment, about this size. Fold it in half like this, and then fold it in half again.
Parchment paper.
Yes, parchment. You want to end up, you can end up with a piece about this big. This is only so that we can cut a circle. It's just making an easy way of cutting a circle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make that shape. This just makes it easy to cut a circle, because then what we're going to do, take your cake pan, put the point of your circle roughly in the middle of the pan, maybe with a pen or even with a pair of scissors. Mark on the corner there, and then we're going to cut a circle. You can do it by putting it on the cake pan on top of it too. This is just a quicker way of doing it, really. I'm going to cut it, and that will make a circle. Or any, because the thing is, you don't want your parchment or your wax paper to come up the sides of your cake pan, because it'll stick into the cake and it may rip and it makes it look untidy. All right. So if you've got something that vaguely looks like this, that fits in the bottom of your pan and does not go up the sides. All right. Is everyone okay with that? And then take a little piece of butter, or you can use spray. And I just want you to, you put a little bit of butter underneath so it doesn't slide around. I just want you to butter the whole surface of the paper you put in, slide it over, that's it. And also take the butter up the sides as well. So it should look like this. Okay. All right, so that's prepared. If you can preheat your oven to 375 for this, and just put your cake pan to one side. And then what we're going to do, we're going to start off putting our almonds in your blender or your food processor, whichever you have. We're going to make these, chop these up really, really fine. All right. So they go in to your food processor. And then we're going to add the sugar for the recipe. And the sugar for the recipe is 1/2 cup. You haven't already measured it out, you can do that now. 1/2 cup of sugar in with the almonds. I can see you all on my other screen here and what you're doing. It's a bit easier than the one that I'm looking at. Whoops, there we go. Everybody got their almonds in? And then you're going to turn your machine on. And let it run for about 1 minute. Right. Close enough. It should look really fine, like really fine breadcrumbs. It'd be kind of gritty. All right. Everybody got that done?
Is it bad if you didn't blanch your almonds?
It doesn't matter if you didn't buy blanched almonds. No, it's not going to make any difference. No, it's fine. Any almonds are fine.
Thank goodness.
Sorry.
But yeah, sorry, we're a little behind.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, I'll wait a couple of seconds. The next thing we're going to do is add the eggs, okay? And when you're ready, you can crack those in. Whole eggs. And you're going to process that again for about another 30 seconds to a minute.
Miss Gaynor?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm sorry, I missed some of those instructions because we were busy with the food processor, couldn't hear you. How long do we pulse the eggs in for?
Okay. Put the eggs in another minute.
Another minute? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you a little story while we're waiting for those guys to catch up. The first time I ever made this dessert, I was doing demos at Fortunoff's in New Jersey. And I was demoing for about 4.5 hours. I think I made about 10 of these. I was doing it with my eyes closed in the end. Every time I'd start doing it, I think, oh yeah, I remember that. Felt like hundreds. It wasn't hundreds, but it seemed like an awful lot of them. Once your eggs are fully blended, you want to take your stick of butter. I did tell you to take the stick of butter out of the fridge ahead of time because you do want it to be soft. You might want to just cut it into a few pieces. Just make it a little easier for it to mix in. But if it's nice and soft, it should mix in pretty quickly anyway, okay? And your butter's going to go in. And again, you're just going to process this till this is all completely smooth. You can maybe 30 seconds, then you can stop and check it and make sure the butter's all mixed in. This is why it needs to be cold. It needs to be soft, I mean, not cold, because if it's cold, it won't mix in. I'm just going to stop it. You can just stop at any time to just check it and see if it all looks nice and smooth. Yeah, mine looks pretty good. You just want to make sure there's no lumps of butter in the bottom, but that looks pretty good. So I think I'm ready to put it into my cake pan. What you want to do, I would suggest taking your
get the eggs and the almonds in the sugar. Where would the butter go?
The butter goes in at the very end. After the eggs and you put your eggs and your sugar in, pulsed it, sorry, you've done your almonds and your sugar, pulse that till it's fine breadcrumbs, then add your eggs,
Yeah.
Let
Okay,
it run again for 30 seconds to a minute, then put your stick of butter in and
okay,
let it run again until it's nice and smooth. It'll be nice and smooth. Can you see this? Looks like a regular cake batter.
okay. All right,
And when you're ready, pour it into your cake pan.
okay.
Wait, I'm gonna get the rest of this butter off.
And it should fall in pretty smoothly. You know, you shouldn't have to flatten it out too much because it is fairly runny. It's not a very solid cake batter. It's a good thing to make right now with the shortage of flour. And making cake batter with almonds is a good idea, right?
Yeah.
That's why I thought of this. I thought, oh, great. Because I went to the grocery store to get some more flour the other day, just for my girlfriend, actually. There wasn't a single thing of flour anywhere, nothing. Oh, I just lost my earbud, never mind. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I stick my little thing back in. I think I've got funny ears. They don't seem to fit in my ears very well, these things. I have to watch them. So just make sure it's even in the bottom. All right, as I say, it will pretty much fall even. Oh, I do have one little tiny piece of butter in there, which I'm going to pull out. That's naughty.
I had to
If you-
order flour online.
Did you? Oh, wow.
A place called nuts.com, and I was able to order whole wheat bread and all-purpose flour.
Oh, great.
Even
Nuts.com.
Amazon-
I'll have to remember that.
Even Amazon didn't have any. I had to buy it in a 50-pound bag at Amazon.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I know. That's terrible. I mean, I know how long a 50-pound bag of flour lasts. So we use it here, but
You can't,
the personal use.
you can't even get yeast on eBay. I had to go to eBay to get yeast.
Oh, well, I worked about a few weeks ago. I started a starter, and I'm doing really well with that. I've got a starter going. I'm making rolls every couple of days, and I'm not usually a person who makes a starter, but it turned out pretty good. So, but
Nice.
it takes about 10 days to get the starter going enough that it'll make bread. So it's a bit tedious, really. So, all right. So now you're going to put this in your oven for about 20 minutes. Put your timer on for 20. It might take 25 if you're only using an 8 ounce. If you're using a 9, it'll probably be more like 20. I'm going to do 20 just to see, and then we'll come back to it and check it out in a little bit. Okay. Just going to dump some of this stuff out the way. Stick it over here. It's the beauty of having a very large kitchen. I have lots of room to put stuff. So move this to one side. How's everybody doing? I'm just looking on the thing to see how everybody's getting on. Looking good. Can't probably keep these things in. I've got funny ears. All right, to one side. Move this forward. Right, is everyone in the oven? Not themselves, but the cake. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Everyone's in? Good? All right. No, good job. All right, so we are going to start now on the mushrooms. We are going to get them to the point where they're ready to go into the oven, which is the last part, okay? If you look at your recipe, this is just obviously for 2 people, so we're just doing 6 mushroom caps. What you should do is wipe them clean, don't wash them. I'm just gonna get a piece of wet paper towel. Just take your mushrooms, wipe them on the outside, take out the stem. You're going to keep the stem because we're going to use some of this. All right. Yeah, try not to break the mushrooms when you take the stem out, because that's not a good plan. It should come out fairly easily.
Gaynor, do you have
Yes.
any suggestions for if someone doesn't like mushrooms, something else we can do?
Yes. For something small like this, I would say something like zucchini might not be a bad idea. Instead of cutting it, you know, if you've got a zucchini and it's like this, cut it in wedges like this, and then scoop out some of the flesh, and then you could put the filling into that. That would be, as far as size, you could do tomatoes as well, I suppose, but they may fall apart. But I thought the zucchini might be quite a good option for those who don't like mushrooms. Can't understand why anyone doesn't like mushrooms. But there you go.
Thank you.
All right, so you're welcome. You should have your 6 mushroom caps. All right, and we get a bowl to mix stuff up in. All right, we are going to start off. So actually what happens with these mushrooms, we are going to cook these a little bit first. We're going to saute them in a little bit of butter on both sides. Now this does 2 things. It browns them slightly on the bottom, but the other thing it does, it gets some of the moisture out of the mushrooms. Turn it down a little bit. Which you'll see when you start to cook them. So if you take a little, you should have had some butter there. If you take about half of your butter, put it in your skillet. Any size skillet is fine. You don't need a big one. We're only putting the mushrooms in, but if you've only got a big one is fine, okay? Melt your butter, and then we're going to saute the caps. They take a few minutes to do, but while they're sauteing, we'll put the other things together. We'll talk about that, okay? So let your butter melt. And don't have it up too high. Just put your mushrooms in either way, because you're going to turn them over. It doesn't matter. You can put them outside down first or inside. It really doesn't matter. All right. And you're going to watch those, and they're going to take a few minutes to cook. All right. You're going to use the extra butter a little bit later. Okay. So you have your mushroom caps here. So what I want you to do is to chop them up small, okay? You can use a big knife. If you use the dicing process like this, just get them nice and small, because they're going to be mixed with the filling. Now, if you haven't, for your cheese for this, whether you have Gruyere or the, or just a cheddar or anything really, if you haven't already, you should grate that up.
Gaynor, I didn't add any salt to the cake. Can I sprinkle a little bit on it now?
Don't worry about it. I didn't either.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I forgot as well. It doesn't really, it just enhances the flavor. I know, I thought about it and then I completely forgot. So no, it'll be all right. It's only a small amount. There'll be so much other taste on it, it'll be fine. Yeah, I forgot as well. So there's, if you can see, I hope you guys can see my mushrooms. Chopped up little pieces, nice and small, because these are going to go inside, all right? Your other, sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's Lori Dollard.
Hi.
So regarding the mushrooms, I'm sorry, we chop up the stems or the caps?
Yes, just the stems.
Oh, got it, because they're part of the stuffing.
Yes, and then the mushrooms themselves are going to go in the oil and the butter, and they're going to cook slowly.
Okay, perfect. Got it. Thank you.
So your cheese, well, you can be prepping this while your mushrooms are cooking. Grate your cheese. Finely chop up, this is my ham. Any ham was fine, but you want it nice and small, because again, this is going to go inside the mushrooms, okay? So just dice it up nice and small. Doesn't have to be any particular shape or anything, just small pieces. And then you also have breadcrumbs. I'm using fresh ones, but if you've just got like panko or regular breadcrumbs, that's fine as well. All right, it's fine. And then we also have, hopefully you managed to get some fresh parsley. One thing I couldn't get, I could not get fresh basil for love nor money. So I've got basil paste, which is a bit unfortunate, but there you go. But with your parsley, I did wash this earlier. With your parsley, pull off the leafy bits. This is really for a garnish on the top. Pull off your leafy bits and we're going to chop them up, all right? And you can be doing this, just keep an eye on those mushrooms, or one of you keep an eye on the mushrooms and one of you chop. One word, if you do wash your herbs, you want to make sure they're nice and dry before you start chopping them up, because they're very hard to chop if they're wet. So I'm going to use the same technique for chopping up those. Just get rid of those. So pushing my mushroom pieces to one side, and I'm going to dice this with my knife like this, all right? Front of the hand on the front, and just make it really, really nice and small. You don't want to see any leaves.
Are you dicing the parsley?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. Can you see or not? There you go. I'll step back a bit.
Hi, it's Caitlin. I have an unrelated question.
That's okay.
I managed to leave the shrimp in the wrong fridge, like in a friend's fridge, but I have scallops. Is that going to cut it?
Sounds perfect. I'll be right over. No, that's fine. You could do that. You can do this with any fish, but I mean, I think scallops would be the best substitute for the shrimp, definitely. So that'll work fine. Yeah, no problem. So did you see how fine this is? Can you see that? Nice and small, all right? And you should also have a bit of milk, and you should have either Creole seasoning or cayenne if you couldn't get the Creole. So I know that it's hard, sometimes hard to get. All right, my little guys are shouting at me here, so I'm going to turn them over. I'll take one out and show you what I'm looking for on the one side. So you want it like brown like that. Okay, and then turn them over the other way, and you'll see a lot of moisture will come out of them from the middle. I mean, mushrooms are sort of 50% water anyway. So we're going to leave them to about the same amount of time on the second side, okay? Once those are done, we will put them in just a small baking dish of some sort. It doesn't really matter what you use. You don't want a big thing because we're only doing half a dozen of them. If you're doing more, then just use a big container, okay? And then in the same pan, we will cook the other ingredients, which are going to be the scallions. Oh, scallion, I forgot, I haven't chopped my scallion up. So the same thing with your scallion, take the top and the bottom off and cut it. Use most of it. You don't have to use right down to the end, but the green is very flavorful too. So you do want to use that. Again, if you can use a slicing technique like I'm doing, you're less likely to lose your fingers. All right. Because the pieces are still fairly big, I'm going to chop it a little bit more the same way as I was doing the parsley, without trying to get them to shoot all over the floor, because that happens. So again, just nice and small. Okay, you see that? All right. My little guys are sizzling away here. Let's have a quick look and see how they're doing. A couple more minutes. So once we take those out, we are going to melt the rest of that butter. We're going to add the onions, so the scallions rather, I'm sorry, the chopped up mushroom and the ham, and we're going to cook that for a couple of minutes in that same pan. And then we will add the the milk, and sorry, the breadcrumbs and the parsley, and then we add the milk at the end. So it kind of, what happens is the flour goes in and then the milk gets added to it and it kind of binds it all together. So you can spoon it into the mushrooms. All right. How's everybody's mushrooms doing? Are they okay? Anyone got any problems? I'm gonna peek, see if I can see you all. Well, look like you're working hard. Laurie, I love your lights in your kitchen. All right, these are done. So I'm gonna pop them out on here actually first and stuff, and then I'll put them in my thing. They should feel fairly soft. I'm lifting these with use a wooden spoon instead of cutting my fingers, burning my fingers, I should say. All right, so we're going to turn the heat down a little bit on this side, and I'm going to put the rest of the butter in, let it melt. And then to that, I'm just going to put this in there, I'm going to add my ham. All right, ham goes in. The mushroom stems that we chopped up. And the scallions, not the parsley yet, that's going to go in a minute. There we go. Let that cook for a couple of minutes. Move this out of the way a bit. I'll just turn the camera a little bit so people can see that just a tiny bit. No, the camera. Yeah, just turn the camera a bit so everyone can see a little bit, please. Thank you. I'll turn you so you can see my pot here. I'm assuming you can see it. I think, Dan, on there, I think you can down those pictures so I can see what they can see. If you do hit the minus. I'll give you hit the minus on the pictures at the bottom. There's a minus sign on one corner, isn't there? I think. Little blue. The top of the pictures. I think that'll take them off. Yes, great. I wanted to see what you could see. I had pictures of you at the bottom, so I wanted to make sure. Okay, so this is cooking a little bit, a couple of minutes. Excuse me. And then we're going to add our breadcrumbs, all right, and our parsley. Mix that in. Bit more parsley there, and then our flour. And how much flour is it? I can't remember. It's a small amount there. So I've got 2.5 teaspoons. So 1, 2, and about half. Now, this is a bit like making a roux, if you know what a roux is. When you do flour and butter together, and then you add a liquid to it. Again, this is really the binding agent, okay? So we're gonna let that mix in fully so you can't see it. And then I want you to take your milk, 3 tablespoons of milk. 1, 2, 3, and we'll turn the heat up a tiny bit. And you're just going to mix that together till it starts to bubble. And you'll see that you've now got, it's like a pasty mixture now. So it's going to make it easy to stuff into the mushrooms. I have to put my cayenne pepper in, I forgot that. I'm using Creole seasoning because I have some. So how much am I putting in? Oh, as much as I feel like. That's good. We like spicy. You can put in what the rest. If you're using just cayenne, I would use a bit less. All right. Okay, so you can see that it's quite like sort of doughy. Doesn't look terribly attractive right now, but it will be nice. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we are going to take, I suggest a spoon or something will work best. Maybe a slightly smaller spoon might be a bit better. Take each mushroom cap a good spoonful of your mixture in. So it's kind of sticks up a little bit like that, okay? Also, this is a good way if you did break one of your mushroom caps, this will help to stick it back together again. Mine cracked a little bit. All right. Now this will depend on the size of your mushrooms, but you can probably get most of this in because it's sticky, you can pile it up. I usually do this and then come back and add a little bit more if I have some left over. It's a bit hot, but that's okay. In there, last one. And get a little bit more in there. Okay. All right, so those are in. Final thing to go on is your cheese. Just take a little handful of your cheese and kind of press it on the top, all right, so it doesn't fall off. Press it on the top like that of each one. Probably got a bit more here than I needed. I just kind of grated a bunch.
Miss Gaynor?
Yes.
When our flan's done, do we just, the cream cake's done, do we just take it, or the flan's done, do we take it out in a cooling rack?
Yes. What I want you to do is to put your hand on it, make sure it's spongy, you know, like put your hand on, take it off, as it should bounce back up, and it should be just starting to come away from the sides of the pan, all right?
All right.
If it needs a couple more minutes, then put it back in for a couple more minutes at a time. Okay, so these are our mushrooms. They're done, but we're going to put them to one side because we're going to bake them in the oven for about 10-15 minutes right before we want to eat them, okay? So I'm going to put those over here. All right, so I'm going to check my cake too because we're down to 20 seconds. Let's see how it's doing. Ah, no, I need another 3 or 4 minutes. I thought I might because mine's an 8-inch pan. So I'm just going to wait for the timer to end and then I'm going to put it in for another 5 minutes because it's not quite colored enough and it's not spongy in the middle.
Gaynor, is the cheese, the cheddar and the Swiss or just one or the other?
It's up to you. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at all. I use just the Gruyere because I like Gruyere, but you can use a mixture. You can use any cheese, and you can use blue cheese on it or something if you wanted to. So anything is fine. I'm gonna get a shot of this over here. Oh, I thought I put that timer on. Did I not do it properly? No, I didn't. Right, hold on. Timer. Technology. All right, timer. In. Oh, gosh. All right, start again. Right, bake. I don't know why the oven went off. There we go. All right, another 5 minutes on my cake. So as your cake is done, if you want to take it out, you can just sit it on the side. Yeah, can we have the camera back a little bit, please? Or you can put it on a cooling rack. We don't want to take it out just yet because we want to let it cool enough before we take it out because it'll be easier once it's cooled. Right, clear up some of my mess here. Get this over here out the way. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to prep the ingredients for the crostini. All right. So grab my other chopping board. Now, if you have 2 ovens, you can do the bread now. If you don't, you might just want to wait till your cake comes out because we're going to toast these in the oven. All right. So what you want to do is this way around. Cut your end off because you don't want to do that. You want to cut pieces 1/2 inch thick. Maybe do, I don't know, 6 or 8 of them. Doesn't matter really. How many do you think you'll eat?
Did we put the mushrooms in the oven yet?
No, no, just sit them to one side. We're going to finish those a little bit later. Okay,
Okay.
right before we eat them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So I have 8 pieces. All right. So is everybody with me, or am I going too fast? Let me get my. Everybody's good. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Good. All right. So we're slicing our bread, right? Good. Could you pass me that little cookie sheet from over there behind you? Thank you. All right, well, I hope you have extra bread because I hope you don't burn your toast. That happens sometimes. I usually blame it on the fact I have a lot of people in my kitchen at one time. I can't do that today because you're not here. So I'll blame me, lack of paying attention. But basically, we're going to pop these in the oven. We're going to toast them, well, let's say about 5 minutes, then turn them over, toast them on the other side. You can put them in a toaster as well. You can put them under a broiler as well, but as we've got the oven on, we might as well just put it in the oven we're already using once your cake comes out, all right? So that, I'm gonna put mine in. If your oven is already, if your cake is already out, you can go ahead and put those in. I would say put a timer on for 5 minutes because otherwise you'll forget, because I know that's what I tend to do. And then we will look at the other ingredients for this. This is really easy. I do say in the
The
instructions
bread
that
goes
you
in
have.
the oven. Do we put anything on it or just a plain?
No, just as it is, just plain. Sorry, I'm talking to you here, but yeah, just plain. If you are lucky, I'm not going to use a mandolin, I do have one, but if you do have a mandolin, you don't mind using it and you're not afraid of cutting your fingers, it's really good for doing slicing this melon because you want it really, really thin. But as most people don't have them, I thought I'd just do it with a knife. You want to try and cut your slices. And again, any sort of melon's fine. Honeydew, cantaloupe, whatever you like. But you want to do nice, skinny slices, as thin as you can get them, really. So I'm going to really try. It doesn't matter even if you don't get a whole slice each time. We can get them skinny like this. That would be great. Because you're not going to need a lot of them. You've probably got more there than you've probably got more melon there than you're going to need. But nice and skinny. Sometimes using a knife is a heck of a lot less dangerous than using a mandolin because they can be a little lethal. You're going to want about a slice like this per piece of bread that you've done. So per crostini that you're going to make. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to use a bit of my other one because it's a bit bigger. I've got another piece here. Do it nice and skinny. All right. See if my cake is done, almost. Ah, that looks perfect. All right, so that's the sort of color your cake should be, your cake base when it's ready to come out, okay? It's spongy, just starting to shrink away from the sides here. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit and cool. I'm gonna pop my bread in the oven. Put my timer on for 5 minutes. Okay. All right, so now what you do need, I'm going to use, it's a bit big, but never mind, I'll use this bowl. You just need a little bowl, this is way too big, but it's okay, that is not metal. All right, so if you've got glass or plastic or something, it's fine. I use a lot of these metal bowls here, but we don't want to use that for this because there's acid in there. If there's any acid, lemon juice, vinegar, or anything, you don't want to soak things in a metal bowl. So I'm going to do it in this one. All right, so for this, we are going to, excuse me, we're going to marinate this in the vinegar and the sugar. So we have 2.5 teaspoons of vinegar. White vinegar or plain vinegar is fine, it doesn't matter. 2.5 teaspoons is just under a tablespoon. And I need a little bit of sugar. Thought I did. Oh, it is. Here's some. Just a little bit of sugar. What am I saying here for this amount? 1/4 teaspoon. All right, a little tiny bit. So this is just really, you're going to put your melon in it. It's not very much, I know, but you haven't got that much melon there. Just smush it around a little bit let it sit. Okay, put that to one side, and we're going to come back to that much later.
Would that be the
Now-
powdered sugar or the just regular sugar?
Just regular sugar, just about a quarter teaspoon, I think I say, of regular sugar. Yes.
Okay.
All right. And we're going to leave it for about 10 minutes, then we're going to add the scallion to it. So for the scallion, you can chop up your scallion. Again, fairly small. All right, and then I'm going to cut it a little smaller. Just push that to one side for a minute. All right, so we're going to cook our prosciutto, okay, and make it crispy. If you've only got bacon, bacon is fine, works just as well. You could be using pancetta or anything really. It doesn't really matter. So for this, you're going to put a drizzle of olive oil or canola oil. It really doesn't matter, in your pan.
Gaynor, we put all the scallions in with our mushrooms.
Oh well, never mind. Do you have another one?
Yeah, we have another. We have an onion. Is
Oh
that,
yeah, I would chop up a little bit of onion.
okay?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I know, easily done, easily done. So whether you have prosciutto or bacon, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. I'm actually going to cut, as it's the prosciutto, I'm going to cut it in strips. You can do the same with the bacon, or you can leave it in pieces. It's up to you. Because this is just basically going to crinkle up when we cook it. And again, it's going to go on top of our ricotta and our melon at the end. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like, but you want to make it nice and crispy. All right. So let your oil heat up, and then we're going to put it in. We'll get a little bit hotter. Get rid of this. Quick look at my bread. Doing great. Your bread doesn't have to be that brown. It just wants to be dry and crispy. You know, like for a prosciutto. For the crostini.
Gaynor, we're soaking
Yes.
our melon, and we're cutting a little onion in the bacon. And do they go in a pan on the stove?
Just the prosciutto, just the bacon.
Okay.
The scallion or onions are going to go in with the melon after about 10 minutes. All right. They just go in and get soaked with the melon. So I think mine is fairly hot. This takes a few minutes to do. But again, you want to make sure, I've probably got more here than I need. I just grabbed a bunch out of the freezer yesterday and wasn't sure how much I took out. So I'm going to let it sit in there and let it get crispy. All right. This could take a few minutes. I think I might turn it up a tiny bit. Did everybody manage to get prosciutto? Oh, it's one of those things that are in short supply. I'm not sure.
There was
The
loads
weirdest-
of prosciutto at ours.
Oh, was there? Oh, good. It's the weirdest
Yeah.
things that are in short supply. It's weird, isn't it?
We
It's just
we used prosciutto instead of ham for our mushrooms because it was there. So
Oh, right. Perfect. It's funny. I know certain things. I mean, things that you think are going to be available aren't. You know, everyone, a run on flipping pasta. You know, you couldn't get pasta for love nor money a couple of weeks ago. So I know what it's like now.
Gaynor,
All right.
do you have enough gin?
Do I have enough gin? Yeah, actually, no. Our tipple of choice is Grant's whiskey. Mine's not quite brown enough to cut on it.
Are you good?
Grant's
Are
whiskey.
you good on your supply there?
Oh yes, we're fairly good. We've been getting, but they're open now, aren't they? So it's okay. Yeah, we love that, and we also like Deep Eddy's grapefruit vodka. That's my go-to thing in the summer. I love it. Oh, I keep losing these things out my ears. I think I've got funny. As I say, I think I've got funny ears. Right? It's like the regular buds that you wear, like when you go walking. I can never keep those darn things in. I always have to get the ones with wire around the back, otherwise they fall off. So, all right. So let your bacon get crispy. I'll put my bread back in for a couple more minutes because it wasn't quite brown enough. It was a fairly fresh loaf, so that's why it's taking a while. So, all right, so where are we? Okay. All right, so we're going to put our ricotta. We'll bring this over. Your ricotta's going to get mixed with your Parmesan cheese, okay? So it's a 1/4 cup of ricotta. Doesn't seem very much, but that's 4 tablespoons of ricotta. Guess that's what I've got there, haven't I? Yes. Can't read my own writing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a tablespoon of Parmesan. So unusual doing such small amounts. It's just going to be for 2 of us. We're usually cooking for 6 or 8, you know, so it's a bit confusing. So, and then also some lemon zest. Now, I suggest if you're going to zest your lemon, use a whole lemon. I presume you will, but I've now got to find my little contraption. Here we go. We'll use this lemon for juice later, but we'll take a little bit of zest. And you're gonna, I'm using a microplane. If you're only got a regular grater, use the fine side of the grater. And you want about, well, I've got a 1/4 teaspoon. You know, it's hard to judge that, but a nice amount till it smells good. Well, that looks like a 1/4 teaspoon. Close enough. Again, I tell you, hopeless. Let's look at my bread. No. So I'm going to mix this together with a spoon of some sort. It's a bit big, but never mind. I'll do it with one. And I'm going to put a little tiny bit of salt and pepper in there. And some pepper. And you can taste it, see if it's tasty enough. If you think it needs more lemon or whatever, oh, that tastes good. Should just taste nice and lemony and then salt and peppery and everything. Drop more Parmesan, I think. Why not? All right, so that's going to sit there. See how my prosciutto's doing, getting there. Just going to get a pair of tongs. Could you turn that bread over for me, do you mind? Do you mind turning the bread over for me? So I'm just, it's getting there. It's not quite there yet. It wants to be nice and crispy. All right, we're moving along here. So with these things then, I'm going to say that my melon's been in there 10 minutes. I'm going to throw my scallions in with my melon. All right. And I'm going to move my ricotta and my melon over to one side, because basically we will come back to that at the end. We'll put them together. We don't want to put them together too soon or they'll go a bit soggy, and we don't want to do that. And I have some mixed salad greens here for a little bit. It's going to go on the top. I'm going to chop these a little bit because they are a little big, but it's up to you. You can just, I've actually got mixed arugula here. Didn't know there were 2 types, but there are. So I'm going to use that on the top of mine. So those are ready for us to put them together when we're ready to assemble those a little bit later. All right, how many glasses of wine you guys have? None? I think it's time for a glass of wine. Don't you, Dan? You want to go get us one? Some in the fridge. Let's have a wine break if you want to. You don't
Gaynor, have to. can you just recap everything we're supposed to have done so far so we can make sure we haven't forgotten something?
Yes. Okay. So let me just, I'm going to take my bacon is crispy. My prosciutto is crispy. I'm going to take it out. Yes. Let me just recap. So what we should have done at this point is we should have our cake made, which I think everybody has, right? I'm going to put this prosciutto on some paper towel. We should have our prosciutto fried, bread toasting in the oven for our crostini, our melon marinating with our scallions and our risotto, sorry, our ricotta mixed up with the lemon juice, salt and pepper, and Parmesan cheese. And then our little mushrooms should be completely ready, but we're just going to pop them in the oven a little later on when we're ready. No, we're almost ready to eat, I suppose. That's when we want to do that. Okay. Okay. I am going to have a little glass of wine. I hope you're going to join me. Cheers, everybody. Some people tell me you can't cook without wine. I don't know, maybe you can, but it's not more fun with it. So, all right. So how is everyone's toast doing? Are we getting there with the toast in the oven? I'm going to just wipe my chopping board off. And I'm going to see what we're making next. Okay, the salad, green risotto. Are they toast on both sides? Yes, they can come out then. So when your toasts are toasted on both sides, you can take them out. With your cake, if your cake is out of the oven, guys, we can unmold it onto a cooling rack is probably the best thing to do. Thank you. So I'm just going to put it on a rack here. Take a small knife, run it around the outer edge of the cake, all the way around like that. This is when you know if you did a good job of greasing, which I don't always do, I must admit. And then we're going to turn it out onto your cooling rack and very carefully pull your wax or paper off. All right, and we'll be using it this way up because it's a flatter surface than the other way. All right, so I'm going to let that sit there. You can put it to one side, you can put whatever you like, because we're going to let it get cool before we do any more with it. Okay. Okay. Right, so what we're going to do now is prep all the ingredients for the risotto, okay? Again, we're going to prep it, then we're going to make the salad, then we're going to cut the fruit and everything for that. But I want to prep it so we've got it all ready, so as if just like with Julia Child and somebody's done all the prep for us, and you know, it's like, and this is what I made yesterday or something like that, you know. So I know, I know you say that, but they still, is it meant to be pointing up? Like that one. Like that. Is that right? It's still coming out. See, I've got funny ears. I'm sure I have. All right, let's just go over the ingredients for the risotto. I do hope everybody managed to get risotto rice, because this doesn't really work that well if you don't have risotto rice. So you can't blame me if it doesn't turn out right, but hopefully everyone managed to get risotto. So we have risotto rice, spinach. If you got basil, great. If you didn't, I couldn't get it. We tried 3 places. I've got basil paste, or I actually have this lightly dried basil. I'm going to give it a smell in a minute, open up and see what it's like. If it's not very basil-y, then, so I hate using regular dried basil, then I'm going to use the paste instead. But I get the darn thing open. But yes, so we went 2 days running and the store didn't have it. Actually, this does smell pretty good. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these little containers. But it's very lightly dried. It's hardly dry at all, actually. I think I am going to give that a go then and see. It's quite nice. It was a lot better than the regular dried stuff. So, rice. Your scallops or shrimp, whichever. Parmesan cheese. White wine. Chicken stock. An onion. And garlic. All right, and your lemon, of course. So hopefully we have all of that. Could we just move that over there a minute? Do you mind? Thanks. Okay, so let's just get this stuff prepped. Let's start with our onion. Oh, you can leave it on, it's all right. No, turn it off actually. Yeah. Our onion. I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but if you don't know how to cut an onion properly, I'm going to show you. All right. Un onion, right? This is the root. This is the stem. Okay. You're going to cut it this way. So root to stem in half. Like that. Take one half, the stem end, not the root end, the stem end. I want you to cut off like that. That will enable you to peel all the brown stuff off. Ooh, this is a very dry onion. Dry on the outside. So it's a little hard to get the skin off. Sometimes they come off really easily, but get all your skin off. Woo! It's coming off in tiny pieces, which is very annoying. Never mind. There we go. So you should be left with your roots intact and your half of onion like this. All right. Now, if you've got a fairly small onion, you might want to use a small knife. If it's a bigger one, use a big knife. But watch this carefully. All right. So we are going to make cuts in the onion. This is a stem away from me. The piece I cut off is in front of me. All right. We're going to make what? Oh, roots away from me. You know what I mean? It's good. So we're going to cut through this. We don't want to cut through the stem. All right. So I'm going to put my knife in and I'm going like this. Then I'm going to go next to it, equal distance apart all the way around. Hold it like this. Don't cut through that stem. It's not terrible if you do it. It's just harder if you do. All right. And the same the other side. Ooh, I don't like this little knife. It's not working very well. It's not very sharp. So you should be able to still pick it up. It's split into pieces, but it's all still held together at the back. Pop it down. If you're right-handed, hold the root side in the root part in your left hand, and then you're going to slice it, small slices, down and through to dice your onion. Now, the beauty of doing it like this is that you get equal-sized pieces. And onions are funny things because there's nothing worse than an overcooked or an undercooked onion. Overcooked is bitter, undercooked is sharp, all right? So this way, and just go as far as you feel comfortable. You don't need to go right to the end. Throw this bit away. So your pieces are all in uniform size. If you hack it around like this, everything's going to be a different size. All right, so do the same with the other half. I'm going to use my big knife actually to cut it, but so remember, try not to cut through that bit you're holding on to because it just makes it easier to cut it when you turn it around. So again, root here, cut apart here, put it down, cut my equal sized pieces, slices I should say, all the way back, and you can hold on to that root piece. Try not to drop it all over the floor like I just did. And there you have your nice chopped up onion. Okay, so pop that in a little bowl or something, or put it to one side, and that's ready for when we cook our risotto. Now, with your shrimp, depending on what size shrimp you have, I have fairly big ones, so I'm actually going to cut mine in half. If you've got little ones, you can leave them whole, or even if you've got big ones, if you'd rather they were whole, that's fine. But I'm just going to cut them in half because it will make them distribute a bit more evenly in the risotto. All right. And then I'll put them back in. I've got a bit of water in here because obviously they were frozen. Chop that away. Put them back in here for a minute. Now, You're going to take a pot, enough to hold about 2 cups of your stock or clam juice, whichever you have. All right.
Yeah.
Put about 2 cups in a pot, roughly. Close enough. You want to bring this to a simmer on the stove, and then you're going to add your shrimp and just cook them till they go pink, which will be about a minute. The minute they go pink, you want to use a slotted spoon or something, or tongs or something, and take them out, all right? And then leave your stock and just turn it off, all right? Because we're going to use this stock in the risotto. By cooking the shrimp in it, flavors the broth that we're cooking in. So particularly if you didn't manage to get clam juice and you just got chicken stock, as I have, it'll make it taste really good. So I'm going to bring this to a simmer and pop those in. Oops. So we'll just let that cook for a minute. And then the other thing we need to do is chop up our garlic. So with your garlic, I have unpeeled cloves here. If you've got them with the skins on, just give them a smash like that and take the skins off, and then roughly chop them. And then mince them finely like that. Any questions, anybody? How are we doing? You still with me? You haven't gone off and sneaked off with a bottle of wine or something? I'm fed up with this. I'm just going to have a bottle of wine instead. All right. See? They're great, but they're obviously not great in my ears. I have little ears or something. There we go. Sorry, someone have a question?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so that's my minced up garlic. The reason we want all this stuff prepped in advance is that making the risotto is fairly quick. We do have to stir quite a lot with the when we add the stock to the rice. So it's nice to have everything prepped ahead of time and ready to go. It's always beneficial to do that, particularly with something like this. All right. Oh, that's good. We did that. Okay. I'm going to pop this back over here for a minute. Oops. All right. How cool is my cake? How cool is everybody's cake? Is it cool enough to do anything to yet, or is it still a bit warm?
Still warm.
It's a bit warm. Okay, well then what we'll do, we will do the salad before we decorate the cake, all right? That'll probably be a better idea in a minute. I'll just give everyone a couple of minutes to catch up. Anyone got any questions? Relevant or not?
Is my cook time different for the scallops, or are scallops going to change?
No, basically with the scallops, you're just going to want them to go from that opaque to full white. Are they big ones or little ones?
Big.
Big. Then they're probably going to take a similar amount of time, but they just want to go white like a piece of paper as opposed to opaque as they are right now, okay? And it's better to take them out underdone rather than overdone, because you're going to put them in with the risotto anyway. So how big are they? Because if they're really big, I'm just thinking if they're, if they're really big, can you lift one up and I can see one? I'll look on the screen. Okay, I would cut those in half. Either way, either across the middle or down top to bottom, because they are big ones, because they do come in lots of different sizes, So probably best to cut them in half. They'll cook a little faster. Sorry?
Can you recap, just because we're not sure, is the shrimp going in the broth, the chicken broth?
Yes, once your broth comes to a simmer, which mine is, then you're just going to throw them in.
Yes.
And just cook them until they change color. And I'm just going to grab a slotted spoon so I can get them out. Get a clean bowl because that was the one the raw shrimp were in. almost done. Just get shot of that. Thank you. Just stick it in there somewhere. All right, mine are done, I think.
Did I
They're
cut?
pink. I'm
Sorry,
sorry?
can I cut my scallops in half like a bagel or like a half moon?
It's entirely up to you. I would say maybe vertical. Actually, vertical will probably be easier to work with, I think. All right, so pink, all right, and out. Then just turn your stock off, leave it, because you're going to use that in a minute. Two. There we go. Good. All right, so there's my shrimp. I'm just going to put them back on my plate here, and we're all good. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our garlic broccoli salad. Okay. Let me tidy up a bit here. I've got a big mess. So for this, let me grab the recipe so I'm on the same page as everybody. For this, I assume everybody pre-cooked their broccoli, right?
I didn't.
Okay, if you didn't, put a pot of water on with some salt in, bring it to a boil, put your broccoli in and cook it for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then drain it and put it in iced water till it's cold. So we have our broccoli, we have olive oil, pine nuts, or any sort of nuts are fine, white wine vinegar, mustard, preferably Dijon, but it's probably best Dijon, olive oil, garlic, pinch of cayenne, and some sort of raisins, golden raisins, cranberries, something like that. I've got golden raisins, but any of the above are fine. All right. All right, I'm going to give whoever hasn't cooked their broccoli a couple of minutes to get your broccoli on at least. And I'm going to find a bowl. What bowl should I use? There we go. This will do. Clean up a bit of my mess while we're waiting.
How much water? How much?
How much water for your broccoli?
Yeah.
You want enough to cover the broccoli, but the water must come to a boil before you put the broccoli in, otherwise it'll overcook.
No, I'm going to do it in the microwave.
All right. So I'm going to run through the instructions and then we'll come back round and do it again. So if you've done the broccoli, great. We're going to drain, place in ice water till chilled, drain and set to one side, which is what I've done here. Then we're going to heat some olive oil in a skillet, add our pine nuts, and we're going to cook our pine nuts until they're lightly brown. So you can go ahead and do that now if you'd like to. And then after that, we're going to make the vinaigrette, which is going to be the vinegar, the mustard, the olive oil, the garlic, and the cayenne pepper mixed together, whisked, combine. And then basically our broccoli, our pine nuts, our raisins go into that dressing, we toss it to coat it, and it's done. All right. So if those of you who haven't done your broccoli, you can do your pine nuts at the same time. You do it in a dry skillet. You don't need to have any heat in it. You do want to watch them. Often they'll say things like brown nuts in the oven, which is great, except if you forget them. I remember doing a class for somebody at a house way out in the middle of no place, and we were doing walnuts. We did 3 cups of walnuts and they all burnt. We couldn't get any more because you don't watch them. At least if they're on a skillet, you can see them. You can see as they start to go brown. You can smell them if they start to go brown. So it's a safer bet to do them in a skillet, but in a dry skillet, no oil or anything, okay? So pop that on. I'm just going to cook them enough, as long as it takes, really. Make sure, we'll see. I'm just going to, my garlic cloves here are I had 2 plain ones and I had some that were in skin. So I'm just going to chop these up a little bit, a lot rather, before we get started on the dressing. Ooh. And I've got 2 because one was very small. All right. Okay, so I am going to go through the dressing now. I hope you guys are okay with cooking your broccoli if we go ahead and do that. So what I want you to do, you are going to put your mustard, this can all be done in your serving bowl. My serving bowl is a bit big, but it's here, right here. My thing of mustard is enormous too. I kind of lose my hand inside there when I get it in. So let me grab a measuring spoon. Okay, so I am going to put my teaspoon. Gosh, it's hard to get it out of here. It's down the bottom. I'm going to get mustard all over my hand. Oh, lovely. So my mustard is in my bowl. My vinegar, what am I putting in here? Tablespoon, yes, I thought so. Tablespoon of vinegar. My garlic. And then 4 tablespoons of oil. Need a whisk. I'm going to mix this together and add as much cayenne as you'd like. A pinch, I think, is good. But if you want to add a little generous pinch, that's up to you. It's quite a big pinch. It's up to you, personal taste. Okay. Just mix it together. As I say, this bowl's a bit big. It was right to hand, so it was easy. All right, let me have this. All right, can you see my pine nuts toasted? Pine nuts do toast pretty quickly. All right, we can turn that off now. And I'm actually going to throw my pine nuts straight in as they're here. And then throw my broccoli in. And then, how many Gordons do I say? I don't know, a tablespoon, well, some, whatever you like. If you like a lot, put a lot in. All right. So this is meant to be just like a little side salad, just something a little bit different. And you can, this can just sit to one side so that the vinaigrette soaks into the broccoli. All right, and we can serve it, and then it's all done. As I said, my bowl's far too big for what we made, but you get the idea. All right, so I'm going to put this back here. Tidy up my mess a little bit here. Okay. So is everybody with me? Thumbs up, guys. Yes? Not going too fast? I know, but I'm just looking there so I can see them all on there. We all good? All right. So we are going to put our dessert together. So I am going to get the cake and a plate from there, please. Just one of those plates. And you can just I'll put the cake on it, or you can put it, be careful when you pick it up. I'll do it. Okay. Probably best to put this on your cake plate before you decorate it or before you put the stuff on it. So, the jelly you use is entirely up to you. I like to use a red jelly on the bottom, and then we're going to use either an apricot jelly or an apple jelly. And the reason we suggest these is because when you heat them up, they're sort of clear-ish, and therefore we're going to glaze the top of the cake with that. But if you haven't got it, it doesn't matter. So I am going to use, I'll use this one. I'm going to take some red jelly and put a layer on my cake, just a thin layer, because this is really just for the fruit to sit in, on, I should say, not in. So it doesn't need to be, and if you've got big lumps of jelly, you can take those out. All over like that. Okay, now, I don't know what fruit you've chosen. I got kiwi, banana, and raspberries, but you can use any fruit you like. The only thing is I shoved my banana in the fridge with all my other stuff to remember to bring it, and it's gone a bit brown on the outside, so I'm hoping it's going to be all right on the inside. Didn't realize till I got here, and it's the only banana I've got, so I might not be using too much of banana. I might just use more of my kiwi. All right, so with your kiwi, if you're using kiwi, you just want to prep all your fruit. So if you're using kiwi or peaches, peaches you don't need to peel, obviously the kiwi you do. I like the kiwi because I think the color is lovely. It's very vibrant. It works very well, it sits nicely, and with all those black seeds inside, it looks really quite elegant on the cake, I think. But it's, as I say, you can use all berries if you wanted to. There's no reason why you couldn't use a mixture of different types of berries. Okay, so you want to cut it let's say fairly thin, not too thick. Can you see about that thickness? You don't want it so thin that when you put it on the cake, you can, sometimes with kiwi it goes a bit funny and you can see the jelly through. You don't want that. So you don't want it too skinny. I'm actually going to also I'm going to cut these in half. Now you can do it half this way or half this way. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to do it like that. They're just so colorful. They're great. A funny fruit. I wonder whoever decided they were a fruit. Mind you, lots of things are like that, I suppose. Now, how you decorate this, again, you're more creative than I am, great. I'm going to go around in a circle. So I'm going to take my kiwi and I'm going to slightly overlap slices of the kiwi all the way around. As I say, if you want to do the banana on the outside or peaches, or you can put your berries on the outside, it's entirely up to you. It's a rather funny shaped kiwi. It's not very round. So that's why I cut it that way. It's kind of a peculiar shape, really. It's the way it comes, I suppose. That's the way it grows. So that's one of my kiwis. So I have a couple more pieces. I'm going to cut the other one and see. Try and get sort of fairly equal sized pieces. Hey, we're almost there, guys. We've only got to cook the risotto now and then we're done. Oh, I've got to put the mushrooms in the oven as well and put the crostini together, but not much. How are we doing for time? Ooh, not bad. All right, so I'm going to cut this one as well. Oops. Cut those in half. Hopefully I've got enough to go all the way around, so I only bought two. I should have. Oops, let me bring it back here so you guys can see. Oops. Just move these over a bit so you can see. There you go. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh no, I'm all right. As I say, nature's not perfect, so things are never quite the right size, are they, as you want them to be, but we do the best we can. All right, a couple more pieces. So I just moved it there because I can't balance it on here. One, just the right amount. Perfect. All right. So that is my kiwi. Just make sure that they're fed, you know, you might have to push them out a little bit to make it round. And then I'm going to do some banana slices. As I say, my banana's a little overripe here, but never mind. Cut that piece off, I don't want that bit. And again, how you put these in is entirely up to you. I'm going to let mine sort of stand up a little bit because I want to make sure I've got plenty of room for my raspberries in the middle. Because that's what I usually do, put my raspberries in the middle. Now you don't have to worry too much about these bananas going brown because we're going to put the jelly on the top, which will help to protect them. And there we go. That's good. Again, make it sort of uniform. It's a little off. Actually, I can get one more in there, I think. There we go. See that bit? Okay, and then I'm going to put raspberries in the middle. I'm going to take the raspberries and I'm going to put them thicker side on the bottom. And again, you could put all raspberries on here if you wanted to, if you're a raspberry fan. I just think the colors are really pretty. I've even done this where I've multiplied this by 3, this recipe, and done it on a big cookie sheet and cut it into squares for a large group of people. And it's an easy thing to do because you can cut it like a sheet cake, but it's a little prettier than a sheet cake. Ooh, put that one in there. I need a slightly smaller one. Fill that little spot right there. There we go. All right. So, to glaze the top, just to finish it off, I'm going to take a small pan. I'm going to put in a little bit, let's say apricot or apple jelly, either one. Actually, I'm going to have to do this like this. Just a little bit in there. I've got about a tablespoon in there. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of water to it. And I'm going to heat it very gently, but I'm going to get a pastry brush first. I'm heating this gently. To sort of soften the jelly. And we don't want the lumps in there, but to make the water sort of jellied, you get what I mean? And then I'm actually going to put it through a strainer in a minute. Pass me a little strainer from up there. Far right. See, we've got a fair few lumps in there at the moment, but you just want to, I'm just going to let it heat a little bit more. Thank you. Is that oven still on? Yes. Could you change it to 350 for me? Put your oven, preheat your oven or reduce your oven temperature to 350, ready for the mushrooms, okay? Just so we've got that done ahead of time. All right. Okay, I've heated this up, my water and my jelly, and I'm going to strain it to get the lumps of the jelly out because I don't want lumpy bits on my glaze. And you can push this through your strainer, but you just don't want, you know, to get more of the jelly out, but you just don't want the lumpy bits of the jelly. If you've got non-lumpy jelly, then great. So I pushed it through, wipe that off a bit to get a bit more of the sweetness from that in there. Now, what you want to do with this, you're going to gently put a little bit on your, just literally dab the top of your raspberries if you're using berries, and then brush your bananas or whatever the fruit is all over with a bit of the jelly mixture. It just makes it look finished, and the same with the kiwi. And you'll find, as I say, using apple or apple or apricot jelly, or if you've got peach, you can get peach jelly as well, of course. Gives it that nice little shine that makes it look a little bit like it came from a nice French pastry shop, right? Everybody's so quiet. Are you all exhausted? I think everyone's worn out, right? No answer, no response. Are you still there? Okay.
We're on mute.
Good. I was getting worried. You know, I thought you'd all left me.
No.
So what do you think? Not bad, huh? So this can go in your fridge. You can serve it as it is. You could serve it with cream or ice cream. You could even make a raspberry jelly or whatever sauce by literally taking some jelly, a little bit of water, and maybe a drop of some sort of booze in there, you know, rum or something, and make a sauce that you can serve it with. Either way, it's nice just on its own. I'm going to pop it in the fridge for now, and you should do the same when you're finished. So I'm going to have a quick look at your things here and see if I can't see anybody's. Show me your cakes. Oh, very nice. All right, I'm going to put this in the fridge. There we go. All right, I'm going to clean up a little bit. Didn't use many of my raspberries. I guess I can have those for breakfast tomorrow. Yum, yum. Okay, get rid of a few things over here. My husband Dan says I use every item in the kitchen. He's absolutely right, I do. I'm so messy. Not known for being terribly tidy. But, you know, I have to use all the right props all the time, you know, all the right equipment. I can't duplicate on anything. So. All right. Oh, now I've dropped my ear thing in the trash now. That's lovely. How are we doing? How's everybody doing? You getting there? Fingers up, a thumbs up if you finished, guys. I'm going to take a look and see. Almost. Okay. Getting there. Good job. Emily, how are you doing? I can see you look industrious there. All right, so we are going to do two things now. We are going to put our mushrooms in the oven for about 10 or 15 minutes in our preheated oven. We're going to put our crostini together, put them on a nice serving plate, and then we'll be ready to cook our risotto. And somebody a little while ago prepped all the ingredients for the risotto, so we can just go ahead and make it, can't we? See, I told you, it's nice when you do that ahead of time. You feel like someone else did it for you. It's good. All right, so if your oven is preheated, you can put your mushrooms in, put your timer on for 15 minutes, okay? All right. And then bread. So for your crostini, you need your bread, your ricotta mixture with your Parmesan cheese and your lemon zest and salt and pepper, your melon with your scallions mixed together, your prosciutto, all crispy, lovely, and your chopped up little bit of salad greens or whatever you're going to use. You could just, if you haven't got salad greens, you could just use a bit of parsley or something on top as well, okay? So for this, I'm going to give my knife a quick wipe here. Does it have jelly on it? We don't want that. So these are just little appetizers. So you're going to take a little mound of your cheese mixture. All right, so it's sitting up like that. You're going to put I usually do it this way. I usually take my piece of melon and I give it a sort of funny little wrap around of some sort, make it sort of 3D like that. You see? And then my prosciutto, I add that as well. Usually take a couple of pieces and sort of stick it in very artistically or not. And then just a couple of pieces of the salad greens if they'll stick on the top, like that. Okay, just pass me a plate. Thank you. Oh, I missed it. I haven't got any of none of the scallions came out, so I'm going to roll with the scallions on the top. All right. The nice thing about this sort of appetizer, you could prep all of this in advance and literally just do this at the last minute, putting it all together, which is, you know, it always makes it easy for an appetizer if you can do that. Oops, get a nice piece of prosciutto or two. That's why you do the little mound of the cheese, because then you can stick your prosciutto in it. I've got a couple of the onions add there too. Put those on there, and tiny bit of salad greens. These aren't the perfect salad greens for this, but I couldn't get regular mixed greens. Go figure. Usually there's no problem, but they only had huge big boxes of them. I thought I don't really want those. So all right, so a nice mound again. My little piece of melon. This is kind of a little bit thick, this piece. I'm going to cut a little bit off it. A bit thick in the middle. There we go. Put that on some sort of bizarre way. Stick my prosciutto in here, there, and everywhere. Bit of my salad greens. Bit of my scallions. There we go. All right. My toasts are nice and crispy, but they're not too brown, so that's kind of nice. Let's see, where are we? There we go. Piece doesn't want to stay on. Go on. Oh, well, I'll do. Bit of my salad greens. Bit of my scallions. There we go. Oh, that's a big piece. Never mind. We'll sort of fold it round like that, I guess. And the prosciutto is great. I just want to eat it all right now. Ah, need a bigger piece. Okay, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 8 of them. Okay. I'll do these bits first. Make sure I've got enough. Oh yes, plenty. Okay, all used up. See how little melon you really need, really. It's not very much at all. It's just, you know, we have to eat all the rest over this week. Woo, this is a big piece. I'm going to chop it off. That is a bit large for that little tiny piece of bread. But again, if you're serving these as an appetizer, you don't want them so big that people can't get them in their mouth in like 2 mouthfuls, you know, because that's what you really want. Okay. One more piece of prosciutto in there. Great. And I've got a few scallions left in the bottom. There we go. A couple more in that. Great. There we go. Ooh, lost a piece of prosciutto. There we go. All right. How'd everybody do with those? Good? All right, they look good enough to eat, right? Oh, done it again. I tell you. I don't know. Oh, good. I can snack on the rest of the prosciutto now. You guys are so quiet. You must be working really hard. All right.
I got
I'm gonna.
I got
Sorry,
hungry and already eat all
You got
the mushrooms.
you already ate you ate
So-
them. Okay, that's okay.
That's why I'm not.
What? All right. Get rid of this. Okay. So how's everyone doing? Is everyone finished? Let's have a 5-minute break, shall we? Get everyone up to speed. Fill up your wine glasses or whatever you're doing. I don't have to drive tonight, so I guess I can have another glass of wine. It's one good reason for having your husband here, right? If you have, has everybody finished their crostini? We good? Okay. All right. So let's go back to our final thing then, to our risotto. And we can make this. The reason we do it last is we really don't want this to sit too long. Obviously, we're going to cook this now, and then you're going to set your table, whatever you're going to do, eat your appetizers, and then eat this. But at least it's not going to sit for a long time. So that's a good thing. So that's why we're doing it last minute. When I do my classes here at the school, I have all these, you know, the order written up on the board. And I always say to everybody, please don't jump the order. Because, you know, somebody will always want to cook like this, would want to cook the risotto like 2 hours ago and then wonder why they can't do it, you know. And it's always they want to cook the thing that takes the least amount of time and has to be done last minute, you know. So before we do this, has anyone got any questions? I feel I haven't had many questions tonight. Come on, somebody try and fox me with a question, please. No? Oh.
Is the exact ratio of the ingredients important? Like if we wanted to give a little
For what?
extra Parmesan or a little extra spinach. We want to be heavy-handed.
This for the Parmesan cheese? No, it's not. Sorry, I lost the other ear now. No, you can definitely be heavy-handed. I mean, basically, this is just a guideline. You know, like as I say, if you don't like Parmesan cheese, maybe you want to add something else. If you know, like if you don't like basil, don't add too much basil. It's really personal taste and preference. I always say that when we do spicy things, because with spicy things, I mean, my husband and I love spicy food, but a lot of people don't. So you can gear it back or speed up. And if you want, as I say, I've got the amount of Parmesan cheese for the recipe, but I think by the time we go to eat it, it's quite likely we'll put some more Parmesan cheese on. All right. Okay. So let me find the old recipe so I know I'm not saying the wrong thing to you. All right, so I'm going to heat the oil in the pan. And can we turn the camera around as well? Yeah. I'm just putting some oil in. I haven't actually measured it. Just enough to cover the bottom of the pan, really, just about. And then I'm going to have Dan turn that right down, please. That's it. And could you turn the camera around so everyone can see?
What's the difference between a saucepan and a saute pan?
Ah, this is a saucepan. This is a saute pan. All right.
And what about the one on the back of the stove?
That's a little saute pan. In England, we call these all saucepans, but they're pots, I suppose. And then these are all skillets or saute pans. A word on that, you've got me on one of my favorite subjects. If you're going to buy a saute pan, buy a cast iron one of these. They are the cheapest and they will outlive you, whatever age you are. They are wonderful. I have about 25 years. They take a little bit of coaxing in early stages. You have to oil them, look after them like they're a pet rock or something. But once you get them beautifully seasoned like this, they will literally outlive you and nothing sticks to them. You don't want to use stainless steel saute pans because they're good for some things, but they ain't good for sauteing in, that's for sure, because everything sticks to the bottom. So a good old cast iron pan's best. Yes.
Again, we're sorry.
Is Rob there to clean up?
No, Rob is not, but my husband is.
Oh, how very nice. Can you send him here after he's done there?
Can I send him to your house? Yeah, okay. He's you know, he's a man for hire, you know. All right, so my pan is fairly hot now. I can see my oil separating, so I'm going to add my onions. These are those beautiful onions we chopped perfectly just now. Yeah, I wish Rob was here. He's the best cleaner-upper in the business. I miss him. So we're about 5 minutes with those. Time for another sip of wine, I think. I feel like, what's that name of that guy? There was a British guy that used to cook. What was his name? Oh, the Galloping Gourmet. It's a bit like Julia. I think she was half cut most of the time she cooked as well. But that's okay. We love Julia. So a little bit of color on these, softened up, just a tiny bit of color. Where did my garlic go? There it is. And we're adding the garlic afterwards because we don't want the garlic to go brown because it gets bitter tasting when it goes brown. So we're going to let this cook a bit, and then we're going to literally cook the garlic for about 30 seconds or so, a minute. Now we want our onions to sort of go translucent and starting to go, get a little bit of color on them. Also, just while we're on the subject, sorry, I didn't say this, but your stock that we previously cooked the shrimp in, if you can add the rest of your stock to it and then bring that to a simmer on the stove at the same time, it's easier. It'll absorb better when we get to add it to the risotto, okay? All right. Got a little bit of color here and they smell really good. So I'm going to throw my garlic in. Cook that quickly for a minute or two. Can you turn the heat down a little bit, please? The reason I'm asking Dan to turn down is my stove is here, but the controls are that side. So I'm this side and I can't reach the controls. So I have him manning the controls over there. So. All right, so now we're going to add our rice. Now your rice just goes in all together like this, all right? And we're going to cook it enough to coat it a little bit with the onions and the rest of the oil that's in there. And then when we've done that, we're going to add our wine to it. You could add more wine and less stock if you wanted to. You're fine, although you don't want all wine in there because it would be way too sharp. So a couple of minutes like that. That could be my mushrooms. If your timer's gone off on your mushrooms, just go check them. They should look beautiful. Yes, they do. Bear in mind, everything in the, sorry? Everything is cooked. So it's just a case of heating it all up and heating the, melting the cheese on the top. Okay, so they're ready for us to serve. Put those on a little plate, maybe. I'll just get a small one.
Can you recap, please?
Yes. Okay, so where are you? So cook your onions. Sorry?
Do we add stock to the risotto?
Not yet. 2 minutes of cooking of your rice, and then we're going to start adding the stock about half a cup at a time. And it's very important that you do it a little bit at a time because you want it to absorb and get creamy. But before we do that, sorry, we've got to put our wine in. Now, first of all, before we put that in, pop your wine in. and let that completely evaporate. Woo, quick facial. All right. And then pour your warm stock into a measuring cup or something. Now, add about half a cup at a time. Initially, the first couple of batches you add will get absorbed very quickly, and then it will slowly slow down as it needs less stock. But basically, you keep adding the stock, letting it evaporate, add another half cup, let it evaporate, add a half cup, let it evaporate until your rice is fully cooked, okay? Let each batch evaporate first before you add some more. Hopefully you can see mine's almost evaporated, that first lot, so I'm going to put my second batch in. That's another half cup roughly. Don't be impatient, don't add it too soon. You also, the reason you do this in a wide skillet is so that it does evaporate, all right? If you did it in a pot, it wouldn't evaporate, it wouldn't heat up quick enough, and you'd probably overcook your rice. Turn up a teeny bit. Oh my goodness. Someone's having a big sneeze there by the sounds of it. Oh good, I'm getting a refill on my wine. I don't know, since this lockdown, wine or anything has been wonderful every night. I can't resist it, terrible. And you may not use all of that stock. Don't think you have to put it all in. You're basically adding it, and you keep adding it, let it evaporate, and keep adding it until your rice is cooked. Once your rice is cooked, that's enough, all right? You stop at that point. Otherwise, it's gonna be all soupy, like it is right now. Turn up a tiny bit more, babe, sorry. Just a tiny bit. Right, good time for any questions, guys. Standing there stirring my risotto.
Should we do some whipped cream?
You can, certainly, yes. You may certainly do that. You can either do it by hand or you can do it in your thing. I'll do some while I'm standing here. I'll do some by hand. I'll suffer. Let me get a better whisk. You give this job to the person who's least good cook.
How do you know your rice is done? Do you taste it? And it...
Yes, you taste it. And it'll take, it's not done yet, but yes, you taste it. I usually whip my cream in the machine. I'm going to work my muscles here tonight, so it gives me something to do while we wait for the rice to cook. So just stir it every couple of seconds. You should have it sort of medium high heat really, so that it does absorb. All right. Add a bit more stock. You know, risotto originally did not have any protein in it. The original risotto was served like a pasta dish, like before a main course, and was often just with vegetables or just onions and garlic or whatever, no meat or fish. It kind of evolved into that as time went on. the arborio rice has this particular consistency that, or makeup or whatever you want to call it, where it allows it to sort of get creamy and not sort of get slimy, like, you know, mushy, like you would think about a basmati or a regular long grain rice. You want to test it? I'm sure it's not done yet, but no, still fairly crunchy. A little bit more.
And while they're reading, it's
Sorry?
okay if it's like bubbling, like
Yes, as long as you're stirring it
boiling.
and stuff. Yeah, and soften it. Yeah, that's good. That's fine.
Okay.
Sorry? Yeah, it's fine as long as it's bubbling. I'm going to turn mine down a tiny little bit. I've turned it up a little too high. You want it sort of bubble, not, mine's bubbling a little aggressively. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit. It's a little tedious this, but it's worth the effort. I'm about to whip my cream a bit. I'll give you an interesting fact. Well, not really interesting, but it's kind of weird. When I first moved to the States, I couldn't understand why people always put sugar in their whipped cream. But I know now why, because American whipped cream, American heavy cream is not as high in butterfat as European cream. Our heavy, which is called double cream in England, is 52% butterfat. This is only 32%. So in England, if you whip cream to put on a dessert, you just whip the cream. You don't put any sugar in it because it's creamy enough without any sugar, and it's really, really good. And that's like the creme fraiche. Why it's much easier to make creme fraiche with higher butterfat cream, but they don't make it like that here. So it's healthier in one thing, but then you put the sugar in it, so that's not really healthy. So. All right, we have another little taste, see how we're doing. Not quite, getting there. It must have a very slight bite to it, but only a little bit. It doesn't want to taste like raw, undercooked rice. Hopefully you all have bread left that you can have with this. Bread, the leftover bread from the crostini. Woo, gonna lose it again. I need to glue these into my ears. All right, I think I'm going to put one more sort of half cup in. I'm probably going to be close to enough, I think. Yay! Woohoo! Whipped cream. I'll add some sugar to it in a minute. You want to add confection sugar to your whipped cream, not granulated, because the granulated kind of weeps or melts into the cream. You always want to use confectioners or alcohol or something. All right. Almost there. Woo.
I don't see any video at the moment. Can everyone see the video?
Sorry?
I don't have any visual.
You can't see me?
I can see you okay.
Can everyone see me all right? So Caitlin?
We can see you. Yeah,
Oh, good.
I can
Maybe
see
it's
you
your-
again. I think I must have done something goofy.
I'm glad it's your end because I'm
I didn't see
technologically impaired. You should have seen us this morning trying to play with these two machines. We were talking about the blind leading the blind. We weren't very good at it at all. Huh? Oh, there you go. Is that in? I can hear. Oh, yeah. I need somebody to come and permanently fit these. I need to get a headband to put these on, I think, or maybe I should wear earmuffs on the top like this so they stay in my ear. Oh dear, I don't know. They are great though, and they work really fantastic. It's just keeping them in the ears is hard. All right. So what you should be looking for now is a slight, very slight crunch to it. It's going to carry on cooking as we put the spinach in as well. So if it's got a slight bite to it, it should be good. I just want to let a little bit more of this liquid evaporate. Getting there. How are we doing for time? Oh, not too bad. All right, I'm going to start adding my spinach now. So what I want you to do is just take a small handful of your spinach and pop it in and let it, stir it around, let it wilt, and then put another handful in. So like a handful at a time. So you put it all in together, it's going to go all over the place. So as soon as it wilts, take a bit more, mix it in.
Does it matter how close you are to needing another bit of stock at this point with the spinach, or no?
No, you should be pretty much done with your stock, I think. You want to put, once you finish putting your stock in, I mean, if your rice is just got a slight sort of denseness to it, not even a bite to it, then you should stop adding stock and then just start adding your spinach. All right? Because we're pretty much done. Put my last bit in. Now, if you guys got fresh basil, I know I didn't say was dice it up. I forgot to tell you that to mince it up because mine, I can't do that because I don't have any. So if you do have basil, one of you should mince it up. You don't want to put it in whole. All right, and then finally, we're going to put in the shrimp, the Parmesan cheese, and the basil. All right. It actually does smell pretty good, this stuff. It's not bad. It's a very good substitute. At the beginning of the coronavirus, I had a lot of herbs at school and I took them all home. I was like, what am I going to do with all of these? So what I did was I washed them all, blanched them all actually in hot water. And then I crammed them in ice cube trays and then poured a bit of water on them and let them freeze and put them in Ziploc bags. So like last night I needed oregano in a dish, or the night before last, and I just took it out and I just let it defrost and drained it, and then I could use it in my dish. It was great. Yeah. So all those big thing of herbs I had all got used up, so it was great. All right, final thing you want to do is maybe season with a little bit of salt and pepper. So give it a little taste first. Yeah, definitely needs a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, I think. I love pepper. We both love pepper, don't we? And I'm going to put a little tiny bit of salt in. And I'm going to turn it off. No, just turn it off for me. Thanks. All right, so that is ready. So we can turn it off now. It'll hold for a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes while you eat your appetizers. We're pretty much done. I would like questions or feedback from anybody, and obviously I will send you a thing to ask you for your feedback as well. But has anyone got anything they want to say right now? Sorry?
What are we supposed to do with the raisins?
The raisins went in with the broccoli salad. Sorry. Yeah, the raisins went in with the broccoli salad.
Got it.
yeah, I mean, I hope everybody had fun. And,
Yeah, thank you.
And everybody sort of kept up. I hope I didn't go too fast. I did my first one of these last Sunday. I was told I went a bit fast. I was really trying to slow down and also try and keep us, you know, within that sort of 2-hour range, which I think we managed to do pretty well. But please, if you have any, you know, I'll send you an email, but if you have any feedback, that would be great. And I hope you all had fun, and I hope you're going to enjoy your meal, you know, and
Hold it in.
eat.
All right. It's the most fun we've had in a long time. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
good.
you.
Well, that's me too. Me too. Thank you, guys. So,
Cheers.
Great job. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. Cheers, guys, and enjoy your dinner. You know.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm looking at your pictures. That's why I'm turning this way. I want to see all your pictures. Well done. Good job. You did a fantastic job. All right. Take care. Have a nice night. All right. Enjoy your dinner and go and watch a nice movie or something. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.